And a good Wednesday evening to all of our great viewers out there. It's time for the Corner Kick here on CWTAP. I'm Alex Fidruszewski, joined once again by a rather dapper James Pepe. JJ, how are we doing today?
I'm doing well. I did not get the memo this week for the jersey. I went to match up with the jacket, so
we did agree, in all fairness, last week that we were going to switch roles.
We did.
You are the Aston Villa kit. Now it's my turn to rep the brand.
Yes.
But
we'll get into the brand a little bit later.
Yeah. So let's get the show underway. And the Premier League hath begun.
Yes.
And
sleepily.
I wouldn't say sleepily. You may say sleepily. I'm going to disagree. Let's bring those 3 points up on the screen right now. We'll start with off the gate. Liverpool leaving it late, and as you said, it takes an Italian to get the job done.
Yes. In our text messages, when, great match. It was a good opening fixture on the Friday night. Anfield, from when the Cubs came out to all this stuff for Diogo Jota and his brother, who were tragically killed in a car accident in the summer. It was the first league match at Anfield. You'll Never Walk Alone hit. It had so much more meaning for everybody in that ground. The Bournemouth supporters came with their own display, which unfortunately did not make the broadcast, but they had their own massive crowd level tifo for the occasion. The moment of silence impeccably observed as it was around the grounds the whole weekend. And Liverpool came out, they were firing some interesting things during the match, which we can get into with a certain supporter and one of the Bournemouth players. But then, Bournemouth storm back in the second half. They find their feet. They go 2-2. And Enrico Chiesa comes on. And you don't expect anything from a player who didn't really appear much last season. I think he had an injury at some point. I know he did his knee, but I don't remember if it was last season or going into the season and he came back. But he hit a superb goal in the 87th minute off of a bit of a deflection. And then, Liverpool wrap it up on what we talked about, which was Bournemouth lost a lot of defenders, and boy, did their right back look awful on that final goal.
Yeah, I'd credit to Salah for the finish. Mm-hmm. He did well to put it away there. And Bournemouth, he did what Bournemouth does. They scrapped through the match and tried to steal a point. It's kind of their MO to get to 40.
Yes.
Do I think they can get to 40? If this is their opening performance against Liverpool and they took them to the wire, there's no reason to think they can't stay above the line once again. Especially
at Anfield. If that's if that's down on the South Coast, Bournemouth probably gets something out of that match. So it could be similar to where they were last season. They were fantastic at home. They took a few, the full 3 points off of a couple of the traditional big sides, when they were at home, going away from home. And this is for most clubs in the league, going to Anfield, going to the Etihad, the Emirates. It's going to be difficult to get points there, but that is an encouraging performance. Their manager, although they lost all those players, he's got his finger on the pulse of this side.
For Liverpool fans, I think that was a very early sigh of relief from a title race perspective. It's hard to believe that I'm going to say that about the first, the match day one, but in a top 2.5, as I put in our pre-show notes here, you can't slip up, especially when you're dealing with Manchester City nipping at your heels. I still have Arsenal as the 0.5 until they show me, at least me. You may feel differently until they show me that they are in the 3. It's Liverpool and City, and for Liverpool, if Liverpool gave that away, it could have had catastrophic consequences for their title race bid next May.
Oh yeah, and I mean, in I think 2 weeks before the break, or it's just after the break, Arsenal go to Anfield. Arsenal have a very difficult opening. They see some of these big sides. Forest is on the horizon, Liverpool. So, they went to Old Trafford, which, they did the business kind of like Liverpool. They did just enough to get over the line. But, opening weekend of the season, not everybody gets to play West Ham or Wolves. So, it's a difficult league. With some of these teams they'll put up a scrap, and Bournemouth is one of them. They're going to take some points off the big boys this year, and whoever they can nick from those are the points dropped that will become, the decider in the title race.
Second point on our board, Fulham pulling it out at the end against Brighton. Left it late. Final kick from Rodrigo Muniz. You could see Silva, the gaffer, on the screen just exhale as the ball goes in the net. They pan the camera on him, and he just...
He's getting hugged by his assistant.
I'm not getting sacked today. And I think... Brighton tried to play that hang-on game. It's a stolen point at that for Fulham. Did you get to see that?
I got to see a good portion of the match. Fulham left a lot of chances out on the pitch. They could have easily scored 3 or 4. Brighton could have had another 1 or 2, but just the way the match goes, from the Brighton perspective, they dropped 2 points at home when they really defended pretty well. And when you get into stoppage time, that's what you're on lockdown. And for everything that Fulham had missed to get that at the end, they'll feel justly, gaining that point. They might even feel a little hard done by. Maybe they feel they should have taken the 3, but that for that last, that Conference League spot, that 7th, 8th, 9th, these clubs will probably be in the mix, and for nobody to get a leg up early, that's going to be important for some of these bigger clubs that are trying to get back up there, and also for some of these other clubs that we're looking at, even the Villas, we'll see how your Newcastles do, but they're all going to be in that mix from, 5th to 9th, and here's 2 rivals, dropping points against each other.
Our final point, and then we'll keep going with the Premier League here in our opening segment. Arsenal wins the showcase battle.
Yes, they did. United, oh boy.
I think it confirmed the fears from the end of last season, and I think it reconfirmed the things we had spoken about a week ago.
Yeah, United needed a lot of work. One area that they did not address was goalkeeper. And there were rumors that they were looking at Emi Martinez from Villa. There was talk of £40 million, £50 million. Villa holding out for maybe 60. And boy, did that come back to bite United, not upgrading that position. What a disaster of a goal to give away. Goalkeeper, super weak. Allowed himself to just get nudged a little bit towards his own goal, and then he just threw a fist up punch. Basically, his punch was sideways, went into his own net. After that, you hear Amorim, we played so well, and like the moral victory in week 1 against Arsenal at home. I don't recall that from coming out of Old Trafford since I started watching.
No, I think that it would have been considered, let's go to Sir Alex. It would have been considered a tragedy by him that they lost that game. And the way they would have lost, he would have sat there and said, we weren't good enough today. I think every manager, like you're saying, could you imagine Jose?
Oh.
We were terrible on today. This was terrible. We were not good. This was not a good performance. We were very bad.
Yeah.
And to have a Manchester United manager sit there and say, well, we fought hard, boys. This is a team that, what were they, 1 position away last year from the drop? Or 2?
I think they were 2. I think they finished 16th or 15th or 16th. They're in 15th right now, so they're kind of familiar territory for them based off of last season.
This is a long time coming, though.
It is.
This is a drop that started 15 years ago.
Yeah.
It was a silent thing at that point. There was still enough holdouts and enough money and firepower in the squad where you didn't see it yet. But some of the development issues were starting to come through where you had the golden group.
Yep.
And then there was nothing behind them. And for a while, understandably, they didn't need anything. Yeah. But we're now 10 years, 15 years down, and we're going, who's the next Academy product you're not seeing?
Yeah, I could only imagine what's going on at
Manchester United, and the focus is we need new Trafford, not we need to figure out our on the field problem.
Well, they're throwing money at the on the field problem, and they're compounding the problem because all the purchasing for Song has been so bad. Now you've got the river that falls when it rains through the roof at the ground, and you just have. You don't know. You don't want to say that they're stagnant because it's not like they're not doing anything. But it seems that everything they touch, it's not turning to gold anymore. It's the complete opposite, and they're still bashful in front of goal. It's going to be a tough season for them. I think that's we spoke that it probably would be. What they have to do better this year is they got to win the games that Manchester United usually wins.
Agreed.
Against the smaller clubs, and they were dropping points everywhere last year. And if they do it again this year, they'll be in 15th or 16th, and if they can get some of those back, you might see them anywhere from 8th to 12th.
Another match that I got to watch quite a bit of over the weekend was the Crystal Palace 0-0 draw with Chelsea. So we warned about Chelsea. You're talking about United throwing money at the problem and it not fixing it. Chelsea throwing money at the problem, and it didn't. They didn't look so great to me at the weekend.
No,
it wasn't a terrible match.
Right, for a 0-0, it was way better than the Newcastle Villa 0-0. One of the things we have to remember right now before the transfer window closes is Crystal Palace they're a good side. This isn't the Crystal Palace of when we were growing up, and they were the yo-yo club.
Yeah, those days are over.
They come up one season, they get relegated the next, promoted the next season, relegated the next. That's why they held the record for the most relegations from the Premier League for a while. I know they're still around the top of that, but it was just constant. This is a very good side with a very good manager. Who knows how to match up properly against certain sides. And hey, they won 2 trophies. They won the FA Cup, then they come out, they win the Community Shield against Liverpool last weekend. And, they are another club that can mix it up with the big boys. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to be in the mix for Europe unless one or two of these players, does Eze go, does Guy go, if they get sold, that changes Palace considerably.
When speaking of Palace in Europe, they had a little bit of controversy this year.
Jonathan Textor.
Regarding their European status.
Yep. So their now former owner had a 20-something% stake in Palace, but he didn't really do any day-to-day decisions. He just was an investor. He also is an owner in Lyon in France. And what was happening was Lyon was in around one of the places. Crystal Palace, not through the league, but they won the FA Cup, so they automatically go into the Europa League by England's rules. And then Lyon in France, they had to wait for the French Cup final. And when PSG won it, and they were already in the Champions League, Lyon got the spot because the spot for the cup winner went to them. So there's a lot of stuff in the off season, and the biggest problem was Texter didn't put his shares into a trust by a certain date, and he couldn't sell the club quick enough, his shares. So then when it came to the summertime, you can't be a part owner in two clubs in the same competition. So because they didn't do the proper due diligence it was like April 1st, Crystal Palace got demoted to the conference while Lyon kept their spot. And the kicker for the Palace supporters was, one, he had no say in the running of the club, so why should it matter? And then the other part is, in UEFA's own guidelines, sporting merit comes first. Palace won their way into the Europa League. Lyon had it handed to them when Nantes lost in the final. So they didn't win a spot, it was defaulted. And they still couldn't figure out why Lyon wasn't dropped down and Palace kept. So they went through all the things, and UEFA didn't change. So Lyon is in the Europa League, and Palace maintains the spot in the conference.
It's not the worst thing in the world. I know it's less money for each victory in the conference league. It's less money in the group stage throughout the tournament. However, Palace should be pretty successful in the Europa Conference League, even if they are going to play the second squad in a lot of those games. And no disrespect to the teams in the Europa Conference League, Palace will do that. Or at least I would expect for most of the matches, they will be able to do that.
For some, yes.
Others, they'll have to bring the first team.
They will. And if they get through the league phase, because you finish in that top 8, you don't have those January matches there.
Right, you have the bye to the round of whatever it is. And then all of a sudden,
they're looking at it and going, we could make a run for it. West Ham won it.
Win your way into the Europa League.
Yeah. Villa went to the semifinal the next year. So, the English clubs fare well because those middle of, those just outside the top 5 or 6, those clubs, when it comes to the European competition, it's good. And they're probably not going to play some of those tougher sides in the knockout rounds until they get to the quarterfinals.
All right, we're going to take a pause for the cause here, pay some of our bills at CWTAP. You're watching The Corner Kick. It's JJ, Alex. We are at X Golf, by the way. We should let everyone know.
Yes.
25th Street exit of Route 22 in Easton. And according to Tom, I used to be a horrible golfer, and now I'm just bad.
But you do know how to work the screen very well.
Yes, I can work the screen. And behind us right now, we're on the 18th at Pebble Beach. It's a very realistic simulator. Now, Tom had to run out. Hopefully next week or maybe the week after, he'll be able to stay. And I'd love to have him do a short demo for everybody at home.
Definitely.
As to how this works. And it's a great place to improve your golf game. I know I can attest that Tom's right. I was horrible. I've gotten a lot better just from coming here, a couple times a month. It's a great place. Check it out. Come on down. X Golf in Easton. And we'll be back after these commercial messages. X Golf, located just off the 25th Street exit of Route 22 in Easton, offers a premier golf simulation experience. With some of the most realistic indoor golf simulators you've ever seen, X Golf is the premier place to work on your game before you hit the courses around the Lehigh Valley. If it's driving that needs work, putting that needs practice, or that pesky short game that haunts you, X Golf is the perfect spot to perfect your swing. Bring your clubs, borrow one of our in-house sets, big up your friends, and come on down to X Golf for a fun time. It's always 72 and sunny at X Golf, and double bogeys are welcome, so you don't have to worry about a cart full of golfers behind you on hole 7. To schedule your tee time, call X Golf at 484-250-0391. That's 484-250-0391. X Golf. 80 Kunkel Drive in Easton, right off the 25th Street exit of Route 22. It's Queen's Nutritional Products, 1450 Pennsylvania Avenue in Allentown. The Novak family, still the proprietors. For a wide variety of high-quality vitamins, supplements, and herbs, shop Queen's Nutritional Products. From vitamin A to zinc and everything in between, the Queen Bee and her busy bees on staff can assist you. Queen's Nutritional Products also has a full line of dry and roasted nuts, dried fruits, and more. That historic nut hut still producing the best nuts and dried fruits in the Lehigh Valley. Queen's Nutritional Products also offers a variety of natural soaps, shampoos, toothpaste, and more because what you put on your body is as important as what you put in it. Queen's Nutritional Products is open Monday through Wednesday and Saturday from 9 until 6, Thursday and Friday from 9 till 7, as well as Sunday from 11 till 4. Seniors get 10% off every day on many items in the store. Visit them online at queensnutrition.shop, or better yet, stop by Queen's Nutritional Products at 1450 Pennsylvania Avenue in Allentown. Superior Hardware, located at 400 South 3rd Street in Bangor, is your go-to source for home improvement supplies in the Slate Belt. With a variety of tools, screws, nuts, bolts, and more, Superior Hardware is the place to shop for your hardware needs. Superior Hardware offers a full line of Milwaukee tools, the highest quality power tools available. In addition to their in-store offerings, Superior Hardware ships nationwide via their website, www.superiorhardwarebangor.com. So you don't even have to live in the Slate Belt or drive to Bangor to sample all that Superior Hardware has to offer. Superior Hardware is open Monday to Friday from 7 till 5, Saturday from 7:30 to 4, and Sunday from 9 to 2. Call them at 610-588-3205 or stop by their location at 400 South 1st Street in Bangor to jumpstart your home improvement projects today. That's Superior Hardware, 400 South 1st Street in Bangor. And we're back here on the Corner Kick on CWTAP. It's another Wednesday night. Alex Fidrishevsky along with JJ Pepe. Of course, JJ, let's take a moment before we get to our next segment about the Championship League 1, League 2 in England. I always like to talk about what you do right now because I think it's really special. JJ's day job, outside of being our resident soccer analyst, is with the cancer support community of the Greater Lehigh Valley. JJ, tell us a little bit about what you do and some of the events that are coming up that we're going to be involved with as well. But, what's going on with CSC right now?
Sure. So I'm the Director of Development and Marketing for Cancer Support Community, Greater Lehigh Valley. And our organization, we offer social and emotional support, psychological support for anybody impacted by a cancer diagnosis. What's so important is a lot of times the focus goes to the person who hears those words, "you have cancer." But not only do we provide support for them, but their entire circle, their family members, their friends, their colleagues. A lot of times you say the caregiver. It's not the professional caregiver. It is the person in that circle, because sometimes it's the spouse. Can be a child because they're an adult. It can be brother, sister. It can be the best friend. And the caregiver takes on so much of the responsibility, and they take on so much of the emotional side that the person who is diagnosed gives them. They need an outlet too. So we provide all of that. And some upcoming events here in the Lehigh Valley. On Sunday, September 7, we'll be at Bear Creek for the Wings of Hope, presented by St. Luke's Cancer Center. It's a butterfly release event where people will purchase live butterflies, and we will have a designated time when they are released, and they are in honor of or memory of somebody who has had cancer. We also have paper pinup butterflies, so you can put a loved one's name on the butterfly, and we have these just beautiful sheer curtains that will be hung, and you can pin your butterfly to the curtain. And that is in our field of butterflies, presented by Capital Blue Cross. Getting in all the sponsor
You
hits
have to.
too.
Listen, they are supporting such a good cause. Utilize this platform with us at CWTAP to tell that story. And we'll be down there that day. Looking forward to joining you. And for those of you who are watching, we will have promos running on the station just to remind you over the course of the next 2 to 3 weeks of that event, which will be coming up.
Yep, that's the big one. And then a few shows down the line, we'll get into October with Breast Cancer Awareness Month. There are so many events that go on in Lehigh Valley. We'll be a part of a few, but we'll save those for a few weeks from now.
Hey, thanks, JJ. Before we move on, website, where can they get in touch with you? And we'll have it up on the screen right now.
Sure. They can go to our website, cancersupportglv.org. It will have all, not just event information, but we have some information on our programs. We have our program calendar. We hold stuff Monday through Fridays. So if anybody needs assistance, we do have a new member intake form, but all of our contact, our email address, our phone number, it's all on there. And it's the best way to get a hold of us is to just go to that contact section in the footer and just send, get us an email, place the phone call, and we'll get you to the right people.
Hey, love what you do. Glad that we could be a part of it, and look forward to working together with you for a long time on that.
We appreciate the support of you, CWTAP, and all the shows that we'll be doing, here, and then some of the on-site stuff. It's going to be great going forward.
Looking forward to it. Let's get back into the game now. The beautiful game, the championship, one tier down on the English pyramid. I love the pyramid. We need the pyramid. We'll get into that later in the show. That's called everyone at home. That's called the teaser.
Yeah.
We used to have meetings about this at KDKA in Pittsburgh about how to leave you hanging when we come back from the break. But but the professional point of it, yes.
And we are being prudent because in yesteryear we would just have gone right into that direction.
We have learned.
And 40 minutes later you'd be going, oh, that's right, we have to take a break. So
formatting is so important, and you can see the rundown on our screen right now, so you know where we were and what's coming up next on the show. But we're going to get into the championship right now. Let's bring up our talking points. The goal of the day for Derby was Callum Elder off of a great free kick at an angle. Once capped Australian. It was like a great set-off to the match. That just had so much drama in it, and we'll get into the next point momentarily, which came from the same match. Elder's a really interesting story. Tri-national, only one cap for the nation of his birth in spite of being a regular starter. I tried to dig a little bit, but couldn't find a ton about, did he turn them down hoping for Scotland or Ireland, or if Aziz Bayich was simply ahead of him his entire career. He's about 30 years old, and he's been a starter in the championship for most of his career. Great shot. Regardless of his status with the national team down under, it was just a great piece of the match.
Yeah, and it was when we started out in the morning, that was the first match of the day in the championship. And, you're like, hey, I'm championship today. I'm going Derby and Coventry. And I was like, I'm going to watch Villa. And I was all excited. And by the end, I was like, I should have watched the Derby Coventry match.
Which leads us to point number 2 already of the championship. And this is where we're going to dive into it a little more, into the meat. I wanted to touch on Elder's goal because it really was special, and it was something that they talked about on the radio. It was something they talked about because I had Talk Sport on for a little bit. They mentioned that Galazzo had it on as one of their shots of the weekend. They also had a goal from the Belarusian league, so I was very, very excited about this. When we reach the point that we will be having secured video rights of the Belarusian league to show their highlights, it's going to happen. I look forward to that. But, more power to Galazzo for pulling that one off. Our second point, let's bring it up on the screen. Haji Wright, American striker, wins and then buries the penalty kick for Coventry. I thought he looked pretty good at the weekend, and this is that Yank watch that we now have rolling into 2026.
Yeah, Haji Wright, great move when he went to Coventry. Had a little injury problem, but last season he really came into his own. Frank Lampard went there. He was one of his key guys. I think he picked up a little something in preseason. It was in national team duty, because he came into preseason with a knock, and it's why he didn't start the first match of the season. Lampard held him out, brought him on as a substitute. This match, he's in from the get-go. Haji Wright is going to get a lot of minutes for Coventry, and that's only good for the national team, especially when we're talking about strikers, because we need somebody to not just be playing regularly, but to be scoring regularly. Because for me, it doesn't matter if it's the championship. If you're going into the national team and into a World Cup with confidence, you will score in a World Cup against whatever side is in front of you. You're not going to be dismayed.
I think also when you look at the championship, and I've said this for 10 years, you and I have agreed about this. You know, that whole, we said it last week on our first show back, easiest league to fall into, easiest league to fall out of. It is a physical, tough league, 46 games, plus the playoff if you don't go up automatically. There's a lot there. Millions, hundreds of millions now on the line to go up, and then another pitfall if you go down to League One. It is a league that if you are in as an American, and I think American fans should look at and say, this is an acceptable place for our guys to play. It is as good as many of the top divisions, better than many of the top divisions on the continent. I would argue that the championship is top to bottom, you know, probably on the level of what you'll get in Belgium or the Netherlands. You know, maybe the top 3 or 4 are better, but the depth of competition, it's equal, and I think it's a good league for Americans to play in. It has been a good league for Americans to play in, and he's not the only American striker performing in the championship right now. Josh Sargent with 2 goals on the young season.
Yeah, Josh Sargent, we spoke about him last week. He had a chance to transfer back to Germany, to Wolfsburg. He turned it down. He said family reasons. And, you know, as I had mentioned, I think in a World Cup year, that would have been a dodgy move because he could go there, not settle, not find his feet quick enough. All of a sudden, he's on the bench and he's not playing. At Norwich, when he's fit, he plays. He overcame a pretty bad ankle injury last season, and when he came back, it took a match and he found his rhythm, and he's found it again. 2 goals in the league. He scored in the cup, in the League Cup midweek in between. So 3 goals in all competition. He's doing exactly what I hoped he would. Haji Wright doing exactly what I hoped he would. And these are going to be two players who, if they can keep these minutes, keep this form, then turn in a good World Cup, then they will be prepared to make their move to a Premier League side if they don't get promoted, or to a German side or an Italian side, you know, or maybe one of the Dutch sides. They love Americans over there. You know, your Feyenoords and your AZs and your PSVs now are starting to find that joy in American players, and they should be able to slot in if they want to make the move. But Coventry and Arch are going to be battling for promotion this season, so they are in a good place right now.
We'll discuss this in even further detail as we get closer to the next international window, which we are getting dangerously thin towards 2026 for opportunities for us to be prepared. And it's been a rocky road this year, to say the least, on and off the pitch for the U.S. national team. And that's, again, more in the next couple of weeks as we get into that next break for World Cup qualifying and for friendlies where opportunities to find opponents are pretty thin.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, we'll touch upon that more, but these two have to be considered near the top of the list right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in terms of strikers, if you're scoring goals, you're in the mix. And these two guys, they've been in the mix before. They just ran into injury problems. And, you know, there's going to be a battle. We've got a couple players, you know, Ricardo Pepi, you know, there's a few out there. It's going to be a good battle, but with that 26 player squad instead of 23, I think these two will be pushing to not just be in the squad, but to be starters.
Let's drop down now to League One. We'll bring that up on the screen. Stevenage improved to 3-0. It's a young season, very, very young. We've got a long way to go. We said this last week, 46 matches, 9 points out the gate. That goes a long way, and it at least can help you encourage safety at minimum if you falter. Last year, the magic number was 47. 47 points for those of you at home. You and I talk as if we are 40 points. When you're on the way this early in a place like League One, you're ahead of the game. Stevenage was 14th last year. So to be out the gate that hot, it's a good sign for them. Can they hold the form? I don't know. But we'll see what happens in a long season. This next one, this is where I want to bring you back in because this is another relevant U.S. national team point looking ahead to 2026. Our second point, Cardiff is on second place in 7, along with a host of others. Why are we bringing up Cardiff 3 matches in on second place with 5 other teams? It's because Ethan Horvath, American goalkeeper, has lost the starting job to Nathan Trott, a Bermudian who, for whatever reason, is yet to play for the nation of his birth, in spite of being now the lockdown starter for that nation if he ever accepts the call-up, whatever his deal is. I've looked at the Royal Gazette. I tried to find something. Maybe I need to just get on the plane and fly to Hamilton. I think we should do a show on the beach.
I think we can arrange that.
We can arrange that. He appeared one time in England as the U20 starter. He's on loan from Copenhagen in Denmark. But this is a red flag, again, for an American goalkeeper.
Yeah, and there have been a bunch of them in England. When you think back to yesteryear and the amazing goalkeepers that we forged as a nation, and they were playing for the bigger clubs in Germany, in England, and now what we're starting to see is a crop that when they leave home, when they leave MLS, they're just not there. They're not good enough anymore. And Horvath has been in and out at a couple clubs now. And, I think, again, this is a problem. We're going to be talking about this a lot too, just like the striker situation. But this, to me, is our weakest spot right now. On the side with probably center back second, because Tim Ream, is 140 years old and he's still starting.
Maybe it's better that I had printed off the national team pool from Wikipedia. Everybody that got called in the last year. It's better that I probably forgot it. And I admit that I forgot it. It wasn't really part of the notes for the show. It was just reference point. But this is stuff that we will get into over the next 2 to 3 weeks as we approach the next window. To me, it's actually the highest point of concern that we have an American setup where we have a goalkeeper who can't start in the championship, who can't start in the Premier League, and now can't start in League One. And with no offense to Bermuda, an island the size of Middletown, New Jersey, where I grew up, their best goalkeeper is better than our who? Yeah. We and it also raises red flags about, I know we talk about guys going abroad. What does that mean for Matt Freese, for Schulte, for another goalkeeper that we're going to talk about later in the show? Where are we in this? This is a problem. We'll get to it later in the program. Yeah, for the national team, it's a problem. But one good thing for Horvath is he doesn't have to worry about the 8-second rule, which we saw this weekend in the Premier League, top division. Dubravka now with Burnley, first goalkeeper to fall victim to holding the ball for 8 seconds after he secured it. New rule now that was put in at the start of the summer. It was actually seen in the Club World Cup, and I think 2 goalkeepers got called for it. Goalkeeper can no longer hold the ball for more than 8 seconds. They're trying to get the ball out faster, keep the play going. Technically, it used to be 6, but nobody enforced it, so they gave him another 2, but now the referee starts counting you. I think he counts the last 3 seconds for you from 5. Dubravka didn't see it. He held it. Now, the one thing to keep in mind is if he drops the ball to his feet, that negates the 8 seconds because it is no longer in his hands. He just can't hold it. I'm a purist, and it's just another pointless rule that we've put in the match. And I understand the argument. It's designed to to impede stoppage time hijinks where the goalie grabs it and he goes down and he's bear hugging the ball for 30 seconds and he's slowly getting up and he's pointing up the field and then he wants to switch everybody and he's bouncing it. I get that. Yeah. There's a time to enforce it. In minute 26, when he catches a cross and gets up and looks to distribute, come on. Well, but I get it. You have to be uniform and enforce it on everything or enforce it on nothing.
The good thing is it results in a corner, not an indirect free kick like you see some of these things when they're 3 yards from goal.
Yeah.
The other thing is we got used to back passes and the goalkeeper no longer being able to pick the ball up. That was a hard one when I was a little guy playing. That was part of it, and it took a while. And the goalkeepers can now, if it's kicked back to them, can only use their feet. This may become one of those things. So I'm going to hold off judgment until it happens to Emi Martinez at a crucial situation.
Then he will be on the show.
Ranting and raving. But for now, let's see how this does. Because it's hard to not enforce it in the first half. And then the second half, it's like everything else. If it's a foul at midfield, it should be a foul inside the penalty area. So let's see what happens.
Quick look, League Two before we take a break. Very early. Crew, MK Dons, and Chesterfield strong out the gate. Bristol Rovers, red flags going off, along with a handful of others already. Will Davies off to a hot start for Fleetwood. He has 3 goals from 3.
All right.
Shall we take a break?
Let's get to the break.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Bundesliga, Serie A, and some of the continent on the corner kick from X-Golf on CWTAP. Leather Corner Post Bar and Grill, 6855 Horseshoe Road in Orfield, has served up good food and good cheer since the 1860s. LZB is a one-of-a-kind local bar with great food, cold beer, and plenty of memories to be made. Sample their wings, burgers, salads, and more in a relaxed neighborhood pub setting. And with sports, Bolka, and more on their TVs, LZB is your hometown pub in Lehigh County. LCB is also the Boomba capital of the Lehigh Valley and features Bolka music on the 3rd Thursday of every month with the Steelworkers Bolka Band performing from 6 until 9 p.m. LCB is open Tuesday to Thursday from 3 until 11, Friday and Saturday from noon to 1:30 a.m., and Sunday from 1 to 8 p.m. Reserve your seats for Bolka Night with the Steelworkers by calling 610-395-1782. That's 610-395-1782. And of course, remember to mention CWTAP. That's the Leather Corner Post, 6855 Horseshoe Road in Orfield. For over 60 years, Dietz's Tavern in Wind Gap has been a go-to locale for football fans in the Slate Belt food scene. With a variety of appetizers, salads, burgers, and entrees, Dietz's provides a down-home atmosphere, a friendly space to meet and mingle, and a full bar to watch the big games. Don't forget about wing nights on Wednesday, taco Thursday, and their weekly specials. Dietz's is open Monday through Saturday from 11 to 9 and can be found at 570 North Lehigh Avenue in Wind Gap. Stop by Dietz's today and sample the food, drink, and friendship firsthand. That's Dietz's Tavern, 570 North Lehigh Avenue in Wind Gap. Rachel's Refinished Furniture, located at 205 Blue Valley Drive in Bangor, has a showroom filled with refinished furniture, mirrors, home decor, and more. Rachel's has unfinished pieces which you can customize as well. If you've got a piece which you would like to have refinished, you can have your furniture given a new life at Rachel's Refinished Furniture. You can contact Rachel's Refinished Furniture at 610-810-8486 and speak to Rachel in person. That's 610-810-8486 for Rachel's Refinished Furniture, 205 Blue Valley Drive in Bangor. It's Queen's Nutritional Products, 1450 Pennsylvania Avenue in Allentown. The Novak family, still the proprietors. For a wide variety of high-quality vitamins, supplements, and herbs, shop Queen's Nutritional Products. From vitamin A to zinc and everything in between, the Queen Bee and her busy bees on staff can assist you. Queen's Nutritional Products also has a full line of dry and roasted nuts, dried fruits, and more. That historic nut hut still producing the best nuts and dried fruits in the Lehigh Valley. Queen's Nutritional Products also offers a variety of natural soaps, shampoos, toothpaste, and more because what you put on your body is as important as what you put in it. Queens Nutritional Products is open Monday through Wednesday and Saturday from 9 until 6, Thursday and Friday from 9 till 7, as well as Sunday from 11 till 4. Seniors get 10% off every day on many items in the store. Visit them online at queensnutrition.shop, or better yet, stop by Queens Nutritional Products at 1450 Pennsylvania Avenue in Allentown. Superior Hardware, located at 400 South 3rd Street in Bangor, is your go-to source for home improvement supplies in the Slate Belt. With a variety of tools, screws, nuts, bolts, and more, Superior Hardware is the place to shop for your hardware needs. Superior Hardware offers a full line of Milwaukee tools, the highest quality power tools available. In addition to their in-store offerings, Superior Hardware ships nationwide via their website, www.superiorhardwarebangor.com. So you don't even have to live in the Slate Belt or drive to Bangor to sample all that Superior Hardware has to offer. Superior Hardware is open Monday to Friday from 7 till 5, Saturday from 7:30 to 4, and Sunday from 9 to 2. Call them at 610-588-3205 or stop by their location at 400 South 1st Street in Bangor to jumpstart your home improvement projects today. That's Superior Hardware, 400 South 1st Street in Bangor. The Book and Puppet Company, located at 161 Northampton Street in downtown Easton, is a treasure trove of literature for kids and adults alike. With a large selection of children's and youth-geared content to New York Times best-selling authors across a variety of topics, the Book and Puppet Company has literary works for many ages and interests. The Book and Puppet Company is open at 11 a.m. Sunday through Friday and has its late night on Saturday, opening at 10 a.m. and closing at 9 p.m. For more information, you can visit their website at bookandpuppet.com. That's the Book and Puppet Company, 161 Northampton Street in Easton. And we're back here on the Corner Kick, CWTAP TV. Alex Fidrishevsky and JJ Pepe at X Golf off the 25th Street exit of Route 22 in Easton. It's time for the second half. And before we get there, you can catch us, of course, Service Electric Channel 126 in the Lehigh Valley, 84 in Berks County, and 177 up there on Blue Ridge Cable. Thank you to our great cable partners who have worked with the station for many years. Segment 3, here we go. It's time to get to the continent. The Bundesliga underway coming up here. Serie A kicking off. We've got some good things happening, some Americans to keep an eye on around the continent. Let's get our topics up on the screen right now, JJ, and we'll turn things over to you a little bit. Let's start with the Bundesliga, and then we'll go into your boys in Serie A. JJ's Italian, for those of you keeping score at home. And here we go. So the Bundesliga, two-team race, maybe 3 if Bayer Leverkusen crashes the party, but I think that was a flash in the pan.
Well, let's be honest. On Friday, when Bayern Munich score in the first 15 minutes of the match, the obligatory text will be sent saying Bayern just won the title. That's almost as written in stone as Celtic winning the title.
You said they paid the bets already.
For Celtic, they have after 2 weeks. And for Bayern, I don't think it'll be much further. Dortmund could make a battle of it this year. I don't think they've got the horses. They've made improvements, but I think Bayern will win this. Yeah, this is going to be a year I think they could win this by about 10 points.
Yeah, and I think adding Jonathan Tah from Bayern to Bayer. Have we confused you at home now? Jonathan Tah, Bayer Leverkusen has now come to Bayern Munich.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
This is a big move. He is one of the best center backs in German football. They have so much now. And my only topic that I was going to put up here is who replaces the locker room leadership of Thomas Muller. He was one of those Francesco Totti lifers. Yes. He joined the club at age 10 in 2000. Mm-hmm. You know, this is something that you just don't replace in a club legend. But when you bring in a guy like Tah, there's the leadership that's now stepping in. That's the next generation, and it's Bayern Munich.
And who's in goal?
Right.
Manuel Neuer's still there.
They still have the legend.
Still making great saves. He, as long as he doesn't go skiing, when he picked up an injury and broke his leg like 2 seasons ago during the season.
He's got to stay away from Jurgi.
Yes, he does.
Keep him away from the Tyrol during the winter break, and he'll be fine.
But, Harry Kane is going to score a boatload of goals again. I just don't see Bayern making this competitive. I think they're going to get out of the gate quickly like they always do. Before you know it, they're going to be 12 points, 9, 12 points up. And they do the Bayern Munich thing every season, which is they always secure the league by weakening their opponents. And like you just said, they purchased the center back from a rival. And they do it to Dortmund. They do it to Leverkusen. They'll try to do it to Leipzig when they're on the up. It's just what they do. It's how they keep hold of it. I mean, what did they win? 10 in a row?
Yeah, I believe it's 10, right?
And then Leverkusen finally got them. Dortmund had the title won 2 or 3 seasons ago. Blew it at home on the last match of the season. Handed the title to Bayern. I'm surprised they didn't drive it down, the highway to them from their stadium. But it's Bayern's to lose. I don't see him doing it. I imagine the odds that you're going to get are not very good for them to hold, to retain. But, it's Bayern's to have.
Let's move now to Serie A. We have said in our previous iteration, and I've always held this belief, maybe I'm biased because when we were youngsters growing up in New Jersey,
it was
and
the
we
best
got
league.
it. We got it. Well, it was the best league, and we also had it on Rai every week with the goal horn.
Yes,
it was absolutely fantastic. It was like the Grinch coming down the hill. Every time there was a goal scored, and listen, growing up, my grandparents' house, we talked about this years ago in Elizabeth. TKR cable, we had 2 options for soccer. We had Rai for Serie A in the morning, and we had Telemundo and Univision for the Mexican League in the afternoon.
Yep.
And that there was something fun about sitting with my grandfather and my father on the couch, and you would hear that again. It was almost like the Grinch, and it would cut to whatever team, Torino or some now bankrupted Italian side.
Catania.
There we go. We'll go with Catania. Lecce. Padova. What happened to Padova?
Serie B.
Okay, they're in Serie B.
Lecce are back in Serie A. They got their act together.
For the time being.
Yeah.
But, very competitive league. I think the depth of talent is among the best in Europe. And I think it's a great league for Americans. We'll get into that a little bit. I like that there's an open competition for a lot of the European places in Serie A.
Yeah.
There was that Juve run where they were just so dominant. And that slowed a little bit. And I like that we've got Inter and AC snooped around, and Napoli is there. And Juve's still in the mix. But you have Roma now and Lazio. And Atalanta has become a Champions League side.
Yeah.
I like that because it brings the variety. Instead of, and no offense to the Sky Six, but I like the variety in Serie A. And I think the first dozen teams are all pretty competitive.
Yeah, and this is going to be another big title tilt. Last season, Inter Napoli went to the wire. When you got into those last 4 or 5 fixtures, Inter had the more difficult road, and it proved correct, and they let it slip from their hands because they were top of the table. Napoli overtook them, I think, with 3 matches to go and held on for the title. It was a great job by Antonio Conte, his first year for Napoli, and they did well. They've held on to a lot of players. They got rid of 1 or 2. You could say, they finally moved Osimhen on. That's a big loss. The problem was he wasn't with them last year. So they just banked, something like $80 million for him. They brought in Kevin De Bruyne. It's a place where you get some of these slightly older players, the 30 to 33, and they can still perform because the league isn't as breakneck speed as the Premier League is. So it's a great landing spot for them. Napoli will be challenging. Inter surprisingly quiet in the transfer market.
Spent $70 million, but nothing impactful.
Yeah, a couple players took most of that up, but not the big names that you thought they would have brought in, having, gone deep in the Champions League.
And for me with Inter looking at that, my biggest concern before the final was the aging legs versus PSG's commitment to these young, exciting, and credit their way they changed the culture of the club, egoless players. And we can talk about Ligue 1 very briefly after Serie A, but I want to touch on that, at least with PSG, because I think this is a club that you're going to hear from for a very long time. Inter, aging legs betrayed them in that match.
Oh, yeah, and that is what betrayed Juventus when they started to falter from that long run, because they kept the Chiellinis, and aging legs caught up to them, and now they're finally starting to get back into the title mix. Inter starting to possibly go the other way with the aging legs. They're trying to refresh. They brought in a center back. They brought in a new striker. We'll see how they slide in. Is it enough?
I picked Inter to be third. My second place team is the perennials, La Vecchia Signora, Juve.
Yep.
João Mario, good signing. Jonathan David,
very good
signing.
And he was on a free, was he not, from Lille?
I believe so. Is it enough? I don't know. And I think there's some questions about Igor Tudor as the gaffer at Juventus that I'm still not sure they can get over the hump. And I think Napoli did a good job, as you said, some really good signings. And I think they have what it takes to get it done again. And I for what it's worth, I picked Juve second, and I picked Napoli to top the table.
If Napoli don't win the title, it would have been another self-implosion. Because last time they won the title, Spalletti left because he fell out with De Laurentiis right after they lifted the trophy, and that was it. And Conte has about as much temper and temperament as De Laurentiis does. So they could be at loggerheads, and he could be out the door by the first, international break, in 2 weeks' time. But they should retain, but it's proven these last few years you can win Serie A, but retaining the title has been very, very difficult.
The days of Juventus being able to have Gigi Buffon sitting in net during matches in a recliner with a cigar in one hand and his espresso in the other.
Yep. With the touch of buca in it.
I don't need to make a save today.
Yeah.
It's okay. We are going to win the game anyway, so no problem. Give me my cigar. And those days are over for them. And I think in Serie A, it's a good thing for the league, for the visibility of the league worldwide, for the interest in the league worldwide. You don't, I guess maybe unless you're a fan of the club, you don't want to see the same thing every year. It's like we talk about the Bundesliga. Bayern have won the title. You're going to text me. This week and say Bayern have won the title. On the other end, it's Pisa, I think Cremonese, Lecce. For me at the bottom, trying to stay up.
There's always a few more. You throw Hellas Verona in there.
Hellas Verona could be in there, yeah.
Cagliari will be in that mix at the bottom. Udinese, who used to be at the top end where Atalanta is, they've fallen on hard times. They could be in there. Parma will probably be in there. Usually one or two are a little further back. Pisa, first time in Serie A in many years. You anticipate them being one of the bottom two. Cremonese, up and down, they'll probably be in there. But it'll be 2 or 3 from about 6 when all is said and done.
I think if you're looking for a proper Sunday soccer experience, Serie A can provide this for you. You go, you get your prosciutto di Parma. Maybe you get a little Parmigiano Reggiano. You have your little cured meat, little bit of cheese,
little glass of wine,
some vino, some espresso.
2:30. Throw on Paramount Plus, maybe CBS Sports Network, and you get the afternoon match before your Sunday dinner comes out.
It's a perfect Sunday afternoon with Serie A. I'm a big fan of it. Let's touch on PSG, then we'll get into the Yanks to keep an eye on. That'll come up on the screen. PSG, we're going to just shoot from the hip here.
Yeah.
This was a club that had an ownership group that for many years was star-driven. They wanted the biggest names with the biggest jersey sale potential and could never get over the hump in Europe. They were dominant in Ligue 1 and have been since this takeover. David Beckham, jersey sales more than they can count. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, just keep going. Lionel Messi, Neymar, all of them. Mbappe couldn't get them over the hump because to me at the end of the day, and this was something that, interesting, when you watched the post game after they had won, the CBS recap, which, and I know they've worn on you, that crew absolutely out of control, amusing that day.
Yeah.
But when they got serious, and I think, what's her name's the host? Who's it? That's had to work so hard to keep Henry and these other guys on point after the final because every player that came up was jumping on
Micah Richards, and oh my goodness, and Henry's like, holy cats, look who's here now, this is wonderful. But when she was able to pull them together, Henry said, I sat down with the ownership group and I told them, you have to get younger. Yeah,
we cannot do this. This is if you want to win the Champions League. And he was totally right. You have to move on from the big egos. And it puts butts in the seats and it sells jerseys. But they found a manager who was willing to lead the charge on that and said, if you buy in with me, we will get the job done. And we are going to have a bunch of names that these fans have never heard of before, but we're going to win. And they did. With your average French football fan looking at, Ficha Kvaratskhelia, a Georgian, going, who is this guy? Who turned out to be a star in the budding. And you look at other players they had there, Hakimi, who was masterful in the final.
Yeah.
They're set up to win, maybe not just once. This is a team that is set up to do this a couple of times.
Yeah, and from a Villa perspective, we were a goal line clearance away from taking that tie to extra time. Unai Emery gave the blueprint, and it was to get after them. And as you talked about in the final, Inter didn't have the legs for it, and they got picked apart. The biggest hurdle for PSG is they had 13 days off from the Club World Cup final to their next match, or preseason. There's just not enough time, so they will probably be like Chelsea, and you will see some injuries catch up with them. Should they win Ligue 1? Absolutely, in a canter. Will they win the Champions League? I think because of the Club World Cup, they might. I think the odds are against them to retain. Next season is when it's going to be the wild card because all these players from all the big clubs are going to be playing in the World Cup, and everybody's going to have the same shortened break to preseason, where this year it's only a couple. And I think that's the only thing that's going to hinder PSG from really, really getting after retaining it.
Considering most European players completely shut it down for 2 weeks upon the conclusion of the season, and they had no conclusion of the season, their 2 weeks was those 13 days.
Yeah. Yeah, they played on, what was it, July 16th
right.
was the Club World Cup final, and they had 2 weeks off, and they played the Super Cup against Tottenham. That's why it was an even shorter turnaround. They had another match to play. I
have my own opinions of the Club World Cup.
Yeah.
Topic for next week? Because we have a lot to cover still.
Yeah, either next week or during the international break when we don't have as much to talk about.
We're going to have World Cup qualifying to fill.
We will. But it's
buckle up. I'm taking you around the world.
Yeah, it's.
We have Oceania playoff teams to get ready for because we've decided to let 351 teams in the World Cup when there's only 181 countries or whatever it is.
Yeah, well, the Big Ten wants 28 in the NCAA playoff, and FIFA wants 381. I mean, everybody should just be in it. Let's just do it that way.
I'm there. Let's go to Yanks to keep an eye on. We'll put a couple up on the screen now that I selected. Many of the top players, I think they're locked in, barring injury up on the screen. We know it's Musa, we know it's Way, we know Pulisic is there. There are guys who are locked in. I'm looking further down the line at some guys who can make a splash, and we'll talk about this more in the international window. The three I picked this week, Johnny Cardozo, 1, John Tolkien 2, Tanner Tessman 3. Cardozo, huge move. He gets a big-time move. Can he step up to the occasion at the highest level now?
Well, although Atletico threw that match away, he came on, had a very good account for himself. So Simeone threw him to the Wolves, and right now, he's holding his own. So hopefully he can continue that. He can settle in nicely at Atletico, and we will see him feature throughout the season. And Atletico, one of those clubs, they play a lot of matches. So he's got to make his mark, and he will get minutes.
Johnny Cardoso, Denville, New Jersey. Shout out to Denville, New Jersey,
boys.
Home of Morris Catholic. Going to have a really good basketball team this winter. Check them out.
Let's worry about
that's
that.
That's a whole nother. We'll get there in December.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's my moonlighting gig in the winter. Speaking of another Jersey native, John Tolkien left Red Bull New York, now in Germany. Holstein Kiel, they got relegated, but I think he could contend for one of the final roster spots at outside back with a good season where we do need a little bit of depth.
Yeah, outside back is big. The two Bundesliga should not be discounted when we talk about the championship a lot.
Zwei Bundesliga. Zwei Bundesliga.
And then duo. But it's just as...
For all of our viewers in Dutch country, I'm trying here. We'll win him over, Berks County.
But it's just as competitive top to bottom as the championship.
It is.
There are some very good sides there. So just because they were relegated, if he's playing in a very good league. It's provide depth. He could work his way into Pochettino's thoughts even further than just being on the roster. So I'm hoping he has another very good season, and we can see him, on our playing here come June.
Tanner Tessman, the last one on that list, moved to Ligue 1, showed well, got 25 matches last season. I think he could push for one of the final central midfield spots as we get closer to the World Cup. We'll watch it. I like him. I think he's decent. There's more that we'll talk about as we get closer.
Yeah.
Quick hit, other leagues. The Jags now have 2 Yanks, count them.
Well, first, what league are the Jags in?
They are in the Polish Ekstraklasa, which you can now catch on beIN Sports, of course. Great. Love that they're doing coverage of that and those broadcasts. We're going to take a quick break now, and when we come back, we're going to do a new feature, our Teams of the Week.
Yep.
Keep it tuned. It's the Corner Kick on CWTAP. X-Golf, located just off the 25th Street exit of Route 22 in Easton, offers a premier golf simulation experience. With some of the most realistic indoor golf simulators you've ever seen, X-Golf is the premier place to work on your game before you hit the courses around the Lehigh Valley. If it's driving that needs work, putting that needs practice, or that pesky short game that haunts you, X-Golf is the perfect spot to perfect your swing. Bring your clubs, borrow one of our in-house sets, big up your friends, and come on down to X-Golf for a fun time. It's always 72 and sunny at X-Golf, and double bogeys are welcome, so you don't have to worry about a cart full of golfers behind you on hole 7. To schedule your tee time, call X-Golf at 484-250-0391. That's 484-250-0391. X-Golf. 80 Kunkel Drive in Easton, right off the 25th Street exit of Route 22. For over 60 years, Dietz's Tavern in Wind Gap has been a go-to locale for football fans in the Slate Belt food scene. With a variety of appetizers, salads, burgers, and entrees, Dietz's provides a down-home atmosphere, a friendly space to meet and mingle, and a full bar to watch the big games. Don't forget about wing nights on Wednesday, taco Thursday, and their weekly specials. Dietz's is open Monday through Saturday from 11 to 9 and can be found at 570 North Lehigh Avenue in Wind Gap. Stop by Dietz's today and sample the food, drink, and friendship firsthand. That's Dietz's Tavern, 570 North Lehigh Avenue in Wind Gap. It's Queen's Nutritional Products, 1450 Pennsylvania Avenue in Allentown. The Novak family, still the proprietors. For a wide variety of high-quality vitamins, supplements, and herbs, shop Queen's Nutritional Products. From vitamin A to zinc and everything in between, the Queen Bee and her busy bees on staff can assist you. Queen's Nutritional Products also has a full line of dry and roasted nuts, dried fruits, and more. That historic nut hut still producing the best nuts and dried fruits in the Lehigh Valley. Queen's Nutritional Products also offers a variety of natural soaps, shampoos, toothpaste, and more because what you put on your body is as important as what you put in it. Queen's Nutritional Products is open Monday through Wednesday and Saturday from 9 until 6, Thursday and Friday from 9 till 7, as well as Sunday from 11 till 4. Seniors get 10% off every day on many items in the store. Visit them online at queensnutrition.shop, or better yet, stop by Queen's Nutritional Products at 1450 Pennsylvania Avenue in Allentown. Azar Supermarket, 3131 Linden Street in Bethlehem. Locally owned and operated by George Azar. Stop by today and pick from the freshest produce, much of it grown right here at home in Pennsylvania. Peruse the meat counter for the finest cuts of chicken, beef, lamb, and halal products. Take a step to your right. It's a selection of olives and mezza and cheese and more. Azars features a full lineup of products imported from the Mediterranean, including Lebanese olive oil and hard-to-find spices and herbs. Shop Azars, 3131 Linden Street in Bethlehem, for great value. Welcome back here to the Corner Kick on CWTAP. Match is 90 minutes. We go 90 minutes of soccer analysis. I'm Alex Vidrashevsky. That's JJ Pepe. Great to be with you. New feature that we're bringing in here. It's the Teams of the Week. Each week, JJ and I will introduce a pair of clubs from around the world to you, give you a little history about them, who they are. And well, JJ, we should just start with our favorite teams. You want to get us going?
All right, I'll get us going. So the very first club featured will be Aston Villa Football Club. Aston Villa were founded on roughly November 21st, 1874, underneath Gaslight, in the streets of England, of Aston, England. The Villa Cross Wesleyan Chapel. They had a cricket club, and they needed something to do in the winter months to stay fit. So our four founders, Jack Hughes, Frederick Matthews, Walter Price, and William Scattergood, got together under the Gaslight and discussed if they were going to play football or rugby. Thankfully,
they made the right choice.
Thankfully for me, they picked football, and that is how Aston Villa was born. One of our early directors and later chairman, William McGregor, is the father of the Football League. He actually founded it. So way back when, the 1800s, the FA Cup was the main event, and clubs would schedule matches, and Villa had one stretch in March of 1888 where 5 straight matches between February and March were canceled. So William McGregor had enough. He wrote to the Villa board. He wrote to some other clubs to start a league format where they would be guaranteed matches. That's why they're called fixtures, because they wouldn't be canceled. They were guaranteed. The Villa supporters were not happy all the way back then, just like they aren't happy now about a lot of things. And
what a miserable lot.
And that's how the Football League started. That late fall, early winter. That's when the Football League started. Villa are 7-time champions of England, although a lot of them were before the 1900s. They only won twice in the 1900s, including 1980-81. That led to the greatest night a year later when Villa won the European Cup, which is now the Champions League, when they defeated Bayern Munich 1-0 in Rotterdam. They've won the FA Cup 7 times, the last time being 1956-57 season. They've won the League Cup 5 times. That was our last trophy, 1995-96. Our owners now are Nassif Sawiris and West Edens. Nassif is Egyptian. West Edens is American, also owns the Milwaukee Bucks of the NBA. Aston Villa moved into Villa Park in 1897. It now holds just over 42,000, and the North Stand's about to go through a refurb to get us over 52,000. The club colors originally, there was a bit of black, there was a bit of brown, and then it changed over to the claret and blue. We are the original claret and blue, not West Ham, not Burnley, no one else. We are, and as we like to say, you do not choose Aston Villa. Aston Villa chooses you.
Well done. You've prepared this for years.
Oh, yeah. And one last little side bit on William McGregor there. He was Scottish, and the club crest has the rampant lion on it. He put that in there as a nod to his heritage, and it has never left the club crest since he put it on.
Interesting fact. Mm-hmm. All right, now I guess I'm up.
You are up, and I can't wait for this one.
I'm wearing the kit, baby. I'm wearing the kit. I wore it. I wore the crest and everything here. So what I'm wearing, this is about a 15 years dated jersey. We've upgraded, but I went for the glory years here. This was the glory years kit of Wisła Kraków, founded in 1906. 13 times the Polish champions, including a big run of them in the early 2000s. It's been a little while since they've clipped one off, just over a decade. Play at the Henryk Rehman Stadium, capacity of just over 33,000. It's also sold out for their game coming up this week against Śląsk Wrocław, their friendly rivals. You can catch the match on TVP Sport, TV Polonia Sport, online for free. And I will be watching, of course. I will be glued to the television, probably in this kit. Rivals, right across the park from them, it's a couple hundred yards, is Cracovia. So there's 2 teams in Kraków, and they are bitter enemies, and their supporters are actually fairly violent enemies, but that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. And then their kind of eternal rivalry is with Legia Warsaw from the Polish capital. Currently in the 2nd division, some financial woes, serious mismanagement, and essentially financial thievery by upper management about 10 years ago, including the hooligans.
Everybody was taking a buck.
Everybody took a buck out of this club as things went down. It was well publicized what happened. There were arrests. Things were not good. It was touch and go if the club was going to survive. And that's when Jakub Błaszczykowski, Polish national team legend, who started his career with Wisła, stepped in with an intrepid young hipster tech business guy named Jarek Królewski. They rebuilt the club. They stripped it down to the bare bones in the 2nd division and started all over again. They've recently brought in former Liverpool exec Peter Moore to the board as a minority owner, and really someone to just oversee the development of the next steps of the footballing side of the business to get them back to where they need to be in the top flight. They just missed out on promotion last year. As a fan, I'm going to say that the reason they missed out on promotion and faltered in the playoffs is that they had to spend the first 2 months of the season playing on 2 fronts. They won the Polish Cup unexpectedly a year and change ago and had to play through the Europa League and the Europa Conference League. Almost made the group stage. Right? If they made the group stage, they would have finished 14th or something like that, and it would have been a moot point. But the money they were able to gain from those matches allowed them to do the spend, this summer because they brought in almost half a dozen players that have already made an instant impact. There's 3 more on the way in the next week. So they're in position where they are now barnstorming through the second tier of the Polish league behind a striker named Angel Rodado, who's a Spanish player, led them in scoring last year, talked about leaving, and just signed a 5-year contract with the team. So he's there long term, and their goal is to now get promoted once again. And this looks like the year. Every week the goal differential ticks up another couple. They have to be careful because this is the week where they could get caught playing a team that's struggling, looking ahead to this sellout on the short week. But that's Wisła Kraków, 13 times the Polish champions. I've been to matches there several times. They are an absolute riot. I have a great time every time I've been at a Wisła Kraków match, whether it's been a league match or a Champions League qualifier. I was there many years ago to watch them play Beitar Jerusalem in qualifying of Champions League. One of the best experiences of my life. And I missed the Barcelona game by a week. And they beat them.
Of course
so,
they did.
They won the home tie, and I missed it by a week. But, listen, got to watch them play in person a number of times. And kind of a family club for me. So that's our clubs of the week. We'll have 2 more next week. Quick final break, then we're going to come back. Champions League, Europa Conference League, and a little bit of American soccer on the Corner Kick. Leather Corner Post Bar and Grill, 6855 Horseshoe Road in Orfield, has served up good food and good cheer since the 1860s. LZB is a one-of-a-kind local bar with great food, cold beer, and plenty of memories to be made. Sample their wings, burgers, salads, and more in a relaxed neighborhood pub setting. And with sports, Bolka, and more on their TVs, LZB is your hometown pub in Lehigh County. LZB is also the Boomba capital of the Lehigh Valley and features Bolka music on the 3rd Thursday of every month, with the Steelworkers Bolka Band performing from 6 until 9 p.m. LZB is open Tuesday to Thursday from 3 until 11, Friday and Saturday from noon to 1:30 a.m., and Sunday from 1 to 8 p.m. Reserve your seats for Bolka Night with the Steelworkers by calling 610-395-1782. That's 610-395-1782. And of course, remember to mention CWTAP. That's the Leather Corner Post, 6855 Horseshoe Road in Orfield. And welcome back to CWTAP's presentation of the Corner Kick every Wednesday. Alex Fidrushevsky, JJ Pepe with you from X-Golf once again off the 25th Street in the fightin' city of Easton, the 25th Street exit of Route 22. In our final segment, we're going to touch a little bit on U.S. soccer, and we're going to go into the major European competitions. JJ, they are in the playoff round now. We're going to scroll across the screen all of the matchups. There are over 40 of them between the Champions League, the Europa League, and the Europa Conference League. We'll just touch on a few of them as we go. We're going to bring them up on screen now, starting with the Champions League. So we have the Champions League playoff round, host of matches there. There's 1 or 2 that I think you could really take something home from. We both said in the pre-production, Fenerbahce against Benfica is really the star lineup for this round.
It is. Both clubs have pedigree in this competition, and that's probably why. Fenerbahce, they've got the special one. Our friend of the show, Jose Mourinho. We love when he is out there doing some interviews, but he is a fantastic manager, and he has really taken Fenerbahce to another level. Benfica out of Portugal, always competitive. If the second leg was in Turkey, I would be rubber stamping Fenerbahce through. But since they're home in the first leg, to me, this one is all to play for.
So where are you meeting me in the Newark for the second leg?
Ooh, we will find
on the Ferry Street in the Newark.
We will find a spot.
We will be going to the Ferry Street in the Newark for the second leg.
Portugalia.
This is Sporting. This is a Sporting bar. We have to find the Benfica bar. I will find you the Benfica bar.
You have to find the Benfica bar.
So we'll be going to watch Benfica in the Newark with Jose, the Portuguese manager, on the other sideline. This is very bad.
Yeah, I thought Portugalia was neutral. I guess not.
Oh no, that is not a neutral point. I think they'll put the other games on, but go tell George that. You'll be eating in the parking lot. But look at this team. I think Fenerbahce, you look at them, Fred, Milan Skriniar, Slovak national team defender, Sofian Arambat, Moroccan. There are some serious players on both sides here. Benfica is this IHOP roster. There's a quality Turk on that. I think about the storylines in this. We have the Portuguese manager with the Turkish team. We have the Turkish star on the Portuguese team with Kerem Atatürkoğlu and Antonio Silva, Portuguese center back. This kid is the real deal. He's 21 years old. He's broken into the Portuguese national team. Benfica is going to make a mint on this kid. It could be next summer. It could be a year or two from now. Watch this name, Antonio Silva. I think he's going to be really special. Is the special one on the opposite sideline?
Ooh, well done.
Basel Copenhagen could be interesting as well, but I think that's probably it for me for the Champions League. In the Europa League, a host of matches. I'll be watching Lech Poznan against Genk. I think it's a tall order for them, but for me, I threw Slovan Bratislava young boys in there. They're a bit of an underdog in the tie. Slovan has some leadership. Vladimir Weiss is a name the fans will know. Played on major teams in Europe and then took the money in Arabia. He's older now, but he's still got some quality. But they're still fighting an uphill battle.
If I'm not mistaken, both those clubs were in the Champions League phase last season.
Yes, they were.
So these are good sides. Champions League obviously took a toll on them in the league, which is why they're in the Europa League. But these are two good sides.
Yeah, the other game that I'm really interested in, and I always look at these each round from the first qualifying round through the playoffs. What is the matchup of the round? And on paper, now matches aren't played on paper, but on paper for me, it's Pajak and Rijeka from Croatia. Pajak is from Greece. Rijeka is filled with fringe national teamers from the Balkans. A couple of Bosnians, another Slovenian midfielder, Dejan Petrovic. There is talent in that squad. Radelic is one of the Bosnians. Zolmištic is the other one. Pajak, really solid Greek side. Russian striker Fyodor Chalov is really good. I know, Russia's national team for many reasons is not playing in UEFA right now, but Chalov found a home at Pajak. Really good player. Croatian defender Dejan Lovren is someone that people will remember from his days at larger clubs. And Serbian midfielder Andrija Živković in their ranks. This should be really entertaining. You want to drop down one more, Europa Conference League. I will be watching the three Polish clubs in there. Obviously, those are my teams. Your Polish team's still alive. Jagiellonia Białystok, the Jags, and Raków Częstochowa. I think both of them should be in a position to qualify for the Europa Conference League. They have, I don't want to say they're easy draws, but
they're very favorable.
They're very, very, very favorable for them. Legia Warsaw has the toughest of the lot, but I still think they should be able to get through on paper. Rakov and Arda from Bulgaria. Dinamo from Tirana, Albania with Jagiellonia Białystok, and Legia has Hibernian. On paper, it's the toughest one, but I think Legia has a history of stepping up against Scottish clubs. Remember to do the paperwork this time, guys, and you won't have the walkover against Celtic. And don't miss penalty kicks like Ivica Vrdoljak did 10 years ago, and then it would have been a moot point. But Legia should get past them, I think. The best match of the round, Anderlecht AEK Athens.
Oh, yeah. Again, we got two European sides, consistent European sides, always in the group stages from yesteryear, now in the league phase. I'm looking forward. Anderlecht and AEK, that'll be a good one.
This could easily be a Champions League path playoff match.
Oh yeah. Just like Bratislava and Young Boys could easily be. These are just another two clubs that got caught up and a little thinned out previous year, wound up in the bottom of the three competitions.
Let's bring it back to us on screen now. You can catch all of those games. You can follow them. Soccerway.com is a great spot.
I use FOTMob, and keep an eye because usually this round something shows up on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, you'll get some games.
Yeah, so keep an eye on there.
We're going to bring it back. We're going to end the show here in the United States, our last 5-6 minutes. Miami office
Yes.
I'm referring to them as offices. We've matured in our soccer analysis. Mm-hmm. You know, it's funny, if you look at the old shows, man, we could talk about this at another time. MLS was so close.
I know.
What was going on with those shows 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017? They were so close.
Yeah.
I remember talking to you during the Sonic games, and we were at halftime. We're like, they're right there.
Yeah.
The crowds, the environment. But anyway, the Miami office of the Single Entity Soccer League, the land development company.
Yes.
Drake Callender, their goalkeeper. It's a move that was needed for him. He was the starter last year. He got bumped for a Messi mate in Oscar Ustari. He's now at the Charlotte office of Major League Soccer.
With ex-Aston Villa manager Dean Smith.
And he wasn't too happy about this because he wasn't consulted. Well, welcome to Single Entity Union Representation, centrally owned soccer, Drake. You get no say. They tell you where you're going to go.
Yeah.
And he's not locked in to be the starter because Christian Kalina, Croatian, is the starter.
Yeah.
What does this mean? It's a needed move, but he's got to win the job.
Well,
we have a goalkeeper problem. Okay, I'm done. We have a goalkeeper problem.
He needed to move, but he did not need to move to Charlotte. That's how this league works. It functions. There are aspects that function like the game we know. And then there are aspects that function like American sports.
Everything off the field functions like American sports.
Yes. And, you know, the reason why Alex said, you know, he had no say in Europe, you can't just be traded. You have to agree to the move. You have to do a new contract. They don't just send your paperwork over and the new club pays you. That doesn't happen. Here it does. And unfortunately, Calendar got moved probably, as you said, to a not great situation. If he can't displace the starter, he is stuck until whenever the league ends, October, November. I don't know. The playoffs go forever because everybody almost gets in. They're like FIFA in the World Cup. Everybody get in, and then we'll have a big party. That's where he's at. And if he stays second string, I don't see him doing much until February or March.
And I think at that point, there's no move to be forced. It's not like he can go to the league, it's not like he goes into the manager's office and says, I want to move to Europe, get rid of me. No, they have to go to New York. They have to plead their case on Fifth Avenue and then hope that the valuation on Fifth Avenue isn't absolutely off the wall bonkers like it has been. Though I think they're starting to wise up that we want $25 million for this. Okay, yeah, that's nice. We're going to go buy a player from Slovenia for $2. And he's better than your guy, so don't tell us it's 25.
Yeah.
That's where these guys get caught.
Yeah.
And there are benefits. You're guaranteed your pay. If you go sign off in, some random country, you may not get paid. Didier Drogba in China.
Yeah.
Didn't get paid.
Yeah.
I think, or was it Tevez? Tevez was the one that I think they bought him and then they didn't pay him. And then they didn't pay Barca, or then Boca.
Yeah.
There was it took years to straighten it out, but
as payback for the West Ham United move.
There's a benefit to that. But Calendar needs to win the starting job in order to be in the picture for 2026, and our goalkeeping mess just continues for another week.
Yes. And keep an eye, see what happens, with him. But somebody's got to get time someplace to be able to be a starter for our national team.
Take a USL goalkeeper.
Hey, listen, you never know what might happen.
Yeah. Briefly on the way out the door, we want to set the stage for the next couple of weeks. We're going to do a little bit of a dive into the USL. The second and third professional divisions of soccer here in America. There are some really interesting things that are starting to happen down there on the pitch and off the pitch in terms of the organization of the league, its future goals, and its infrastructure. And I was able to see some infrastructure upgrades up close when I was in Pittsburgh. And the Riverhounds opened the new training facility. It's a major step forward for them, for their academy, for all of this. And they're not the only ones doing this. We have stadiums that are going to be opening. Pittsburgh's making announcements. Detroit's making announcements. There's a lot to look forward to in the USL.
There is. It's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of money, but they are putting together a structure, and I'll say more of a club system that will marry these teams over the next few years into their communities better than any Apple subscription TV contract can get you.
We'll break more into that over the course of the next couple of weeks on CWTAP's presentation of the corner kick. JJ, it is time for us to depart as the stoppage time whistle is about to blow for the end of the contest. As always, we'd like to thank our viewers and sponsors for supporting us. And, JJ, it's time for the final word, of course.
Final word is, as you enjoy all the matches this weekend, remember, for many of us that have kids, they go back to school. So make sure you set some time aside, do something special with them before you put them on that bus Monday morning.
That was a very wholesome final message.
It was. But I'll still
very insightful.
I have something that I do with my girls. Every year we go to the diner. We do an end of summer breakfast. But don't worry, I'll still see plenty of matches this weekend.
I wasn't trying to insult you. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a bit of everything. Bit of everything.
What a
this
cosmopolitan
weekend.
Gentleman we have here.
It's the jacket.
It is. It's the jacket. That's right.
If I had the kit on, who knows what would have happened.
Keep the jacket on. All right, so once again for James Pepe, I'm Alex Vidrushevsky. This has been a presentation of CWTAP's Corner Kick from X Golf, 25th Street in Easton. God bless. Have a great week. And JJ?
Ciao for now.